because of the feedback fading like outro means you can really pivot into anything you want for the next track too. So that was just a little bit of a bonus coming off of it. I was like, I can go any direction I want, but really melodic, very heavy. You got the dual threat vocals again because you got clean vocals on the chorus, the soaring,
really powerful vocals on
clean, and then you got a lot of great death metal vocals in there as well. So.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Metal Maniacs podcast. I'm Jay Ingersoll.
What up, Jay? It's your boy Modd. Good morning. What are we doing today?
Today, we are actually doing a mixtape.
All right. I love it.
You had brought this idea up. You used to make some banger mixtapes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love it. I love
make some banger mixtapes. And you would always give them to me. Luke would make me some bangers too. So it turns you on to a lot of bands. Now it's a little different with the Spotify.
Yeah.
And just the constant loop of always getting inundated with something new, but like being able to curate your own. This was kind of a cool idea that I thought. And then when you make a mixtape, then it brings up multiple other questions.
Sure.
Well, is this going to be an all-time mixtape? Is it going to be what kind of mixtape? Because especially you and I listen to a lot of other things besides metal. So if we made an ultimate mixtape, would your mixtape be all metal?
Hell no.
So that's what I'm saying, right? Like, but this is the metal show,
right?
So we didn't want to come in with the Cat Stevens and the whatever else,
that's hilarious.
Zach Browns and I'll have some metal, but give me some.
It's hilarious. You even say Cat Stevens because prior to making this mixtape for this episode, I made like an all-time like songs that touched my soul type of playlist, and sure enough, Cat Stevens is on it. And it's all these like folk ballad type stuff. It's something super chill, right? So yes, to your point, a mixtape's got to have like something, some sort of subject or topic or meaning. Now, for us today, the idea was let's revisit some of our favorite albums from last year.
Okay, so that's what we're doing today. But before we get into that, just a quick word from our sponsor, Dave Stark at Stark Real Estate. They do real estate right. So thank you to our sponsor. Click the link below. All your real estate needs handled. Tell them the Metal Maniacs sent you. And so, mixtape from 2025. We thought that would be easy since we listened to a gang of records last year. And they're pretty fresh in the mind where we don't have to go digging through the trenches of all the records, and some of the other ideas we talked about. But, so I'm looking forward to this. This was fun. Luckily for me, on the I had noted every song I thought was probably the best song off of that album for that year.
Right.
So for me, that's kind of what made my mixtape.
Right. Okay. I thought the same was pretty much my approach. Some of these albums had like so many good songs, it was hard to pull which one and then start to figure out where to place it. So because of the fact that some of them were so good, I was like, well, for my mixtape, I don't have to have the best song or my favorite song from the album. I just thought it's one of the top 2 or 3 songs from that album, obviously.
Yeah.
But in terms of like ebb and flow, I had to make some choice cuts, like right down to the wire. I'm like, well, if I do that song, it doesn't really fit in this spot now. And, just little things like that where you're like, my mix doesn't flow suddenly if I go with that song. I'm kind of going the wrong direction that I had in mind. So, it was hard for me because some of these albums were so great. It was hard to split them up, take something out of it, and just for the sake of one song only representing this album. But I did my best on my end to represent that band as best as possible and also have a flow to the mixtape.
And for mine, I kind of picked the best song, and I actually just put them in order, from the way I picked them, just to see how it would listen. And after I listened to it, I'm like, this is good for me.
Yeah,
this was great.
Yeah, I listened to yours this morning. Actually, Spotify's tricky because you can start on your playlist and then immediately get kicked off of it. So I thought for a second your track 2 was like a revocation Anyway, it was not what it was.
Yeah, Spotify's weird. If you don't pay for it, it throws you all over the place. So you got to literally click the next track. I had to do that too because I don't pay for it. I just listen to podcasts on it. But most people do Spotify, but you have a YouTube one. And I'm more than happy before this episode comes out, make sure there's a playlist for whatever you use because I use Amazon, so that would be easier anyway.
Right.
But going back to your point, sorry. As far as listening to it in order, you were saying.
Yeah. So I was listening to yours, and I thought
Yeah.
it had a great flow. When
Yeah.
I was actually on your playlist, I was like, nothing wrong with this. And some of the spots we're going to find out. There's going to be some curiosities, like, oh, that's weird how that happened and why. But you kind of explained yours is just in the order of like going down your list.
Yeah,
right?
and that's I sometimes it's like if it's not broke, don't fix it type thing. I'm
Sure.
like, I already picked out my favorite songs. Let's hear what they'll sound like in a playlist, and let's just go from like my 10th pick all the way to my first pick and just see what that would sound like. And after I listened to it, I was like, this is a sick list, dude. I was like, I would fuck with this all day long. I was like, I want to show everybody this list. So
I didn't.
That's how happy I was with it. I was like, why? I don't really need to get. I mean, you got a pretty type A with it as far as listening to them again and like, yeah, you really put in the work. So kudos to you for that, you know. But I just kind of was like, well, I wasn't trying to go the easiest way, but just. I was like I said, after I got done listening to it, I was like, this is fucking badass.
Another approach that I took was, to help narrow down my selection was to look at the number of plays some of these songs were getting. Like, oh, that's right. This must be obviously a banger. It's got 200,000 plays on it compared to the other one with 80,000.
Yeah.
However, doing that didn't really give me the results that I thought I wanted because I'd pick those songs and I'm like, yeah, they're popular, but that's not what I want right here from this band right now.
Sure.
So I had to I'd have like 3 or 4 songs. I'm like, well, these are the most played from that album. And then I ended up scrapping several times. I did that. I scrapped all 4 of those songs, went back to the album, and I was like, nope, that's the catchy riff that I need right here, right now for this spot.
Perfect.
So yeah, I definitely went into it, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And it's great to revisit all of those albums, even in a brief kind of a way. But still, I did bang out these songs for sure. And some additional ones. I didn't listen to 10 albums last night.
Sure.
But I did listen to 2 or 3 songs from 10 albums last
enough
night.
to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was fun. And that just goes to show them were the kind of mixtapes you used to make for us back in the day. We were riding around in Clifford, man. Just those tapes with Carcass and Morbid Angel, like some of our favorite stuff off there.
Oh, yeah.
I remember some of them. And that might be a cool episode, too. That's why I said maybe an all-time one or like, you know. But then it's like, then we kind of just picking from the best albums episodes we did too, because most of those songs went off of them first 10 or whatever would be on there too.
Yeah,
so
the top 5 all-time great albums. Yeah,
yeah.
some Gestory, some Symbolics going to be in
there. That would definitely be like the first 10 on the list at least. You know, if you were making all-time.
All from the 20th century.
and it would be hard, too, because I'd be, like, putting Sleep Token and shit on, like, a mixtape. Like, stuff like that, because you really want to go for a ride, right?
Yeah.
Like, you need to be able to venture out a little further than what metal can do for you.
Sure.
But I felt like after listening to mine and then skimming through yours, we still gave a lot. There's a lot with these bands that we picked with the top albums. There's still a lot of variety in there where it's not, you're just not pummeled with toilet bowl vocals for 10 songs, right?
Sure.
Or slam metal the whole time, right? So
yeah, I thought we had some great ebb and flow to our selections as well.
Yeah. So also we were talking about that shirt beforehand. I love the shirt, by the way.
Thank
you.
You.
Absolutely amazing. I almost said American Death, which is what that is, but
so yeah,
but you were telling me a story about it.
So this Rivers of Nile shirt I have been missing since I went to Sonic Temple.
Where did you get it? Did you order it?
I ordered it from like their website, I believe, because
it's sick. Though.
It is sick. I saw it and I was like, oh, black long sleeve with print on the sleeve. Get out. Say less.
Print on the sleeve.
I love it, man. So I brought it to Sonic Temple, as I was saying, and I picked out all the clothes I thought I might want to wear for either the concert or in case of weather, whatever. So it was summertime, dead-ass summer, like July or whatever. But I brought this just in case we have an overcast or a cooler day. I hate cool air on my skin. So anyway, I ended up not wearing it. And it stayed in the pack bag. And then I come home and I unpacked it. And it just got worked back into the wardrobe somewhere. But I could never find it again. It got buried and it's been missing for 2 years. And I don't know. I went through everything. Swear to God. Every single drawer, top to bottom. I don't know how I found it, dude. I did it again.
Like you went through everything again? Just
like, I think I was trying to clear space for clothes this time.
Okay.
So I was like, we got to take some shit out of here.
Yeah.
And so then I'm just digging through and I'm like, well, what's this? And then this comes out and I'm like, no, that's a lie. Somebody somebody else found this and slipped it in here. And my wife was, oh, this is Nick's shirt.
Yeah.
So it's nice to find. I had to wear it today just to show it off. And Rivers of Nile is obviously going to be on the list today because we both had him in our top 10.
Absolutely.
So felt it was a choice shirt.
Cool. So let's get into it.
Let's
You
go.
ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to so we decided before the show that we're going to go back and forth.
Sure.
Just to make it a little more, so it's not redundant as far as like talking for 30 minutes
Sure.
about the album with us just kind of piping in. So we'll go back and forth, but we will also have these lists linked below or wherever you're looking at this. So we encourage you to check these bands out, these albums out, and check out our mixtape in the order because we're both pretty proud of what we came up with here. So.
Before you kick it off, did you have yours on the Notion? Because I know you texted it to me. Otherwise, I just got to pull up the Spotify.
Yeah, if you go to the Notion calendar.
Okay.
I don't have a bunch of notes like you, but I do have
That's fine.
things to speak on.
Where was it? Just on the calendar?
Yeah, if you
like
just go to the calendar,
Okay,
and then you'll start from the bottom. Like I just.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right.
I got Spotify playlist.
Okay. All right, I got yours up, so that's cool. Yep. And then I'm going to have
So this would be, now when you're starting, is this going to be the first song on the list, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so yours will go from the bottom.
Yeah, mine will go bottom up.
But. All right, that's cool.
Yep.
Just move this over. So if you'd like, shall I?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Right,
so this was tough because you want to have a bit of an intro to your album, but you don't want it to take too long. I don't want to put you to sleep on my mixtape, Like
Sure.
my mixtape's got to kind of come out and have some energy to it.
Yes.
So for me, I started with Fallujah's Labyrinth of Stone. So this one just has a very short kind of like a volume swell to bring you in, and then you're immediately jamming to a nice catchy beat. I felt like it's a good pace to start the mixtape. One of the best tracks on the album for sure, and it doesn't really let up once you get going. The fade in, like I said, it helps with the mixtape, and it's a short intro. It doesn't take too long. And then the listeners get a nice, energetic first track with technical proficiency, tenacious drumming, melody, dual threat vocals, and plenty of groove to balance out the grinding. There's a small dip in the middle of the song, but it doesn't even lose steam because it only lasts for like 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's not like a huge, long, progressive piece right in the beginning of your first track.
Yeah.
It's just like, here's a little dip, and then they just kind of pick it right back up and get going.
Good dynamics, at least, to keep you interested.
So, and then lastly, the outro on this thing just goes crazy. It's a nice, heavy, kind of genty-ish, and there's a lot of layering and additional guitar work from Scott on the end to take it out. So I felt like Fallujah with a nice technical, melodic death metal song that isn't too grindy or blasty, but also not too progressive and atmospheric. It was just like the perfect little. There could have been a couple of different number ones all throughout my top 10 albums of the year, but this one was the one for me that I thought really had the catchy energy, and it didn't stall out, and it wasn't too crazy right off rip. So for me today, I wanted to roll out with the Fallujah. Great track. There was a couple other ones for sure on this album that I could have gone with and I really wrestled with, but Labyrinth of Stone was a good starter for me. What about you, Jay? How you want to kick things off?
For me, since the order I went and it just works out, and I was happy with the opening track, is the semi-automatic facial reconstruction, Sanguisugabog.
Yes.
The track, and it's featuring Travis Ryan.
Okay.
After listening to it back, I felt like it just kind of steamrolled right in. Just come in punishing with a double kick.
The drums.
Kind of, yeah, just like weird Discordy kind of stuff, and then they kind of get going. It doesn't blast you right in the face, but it's just kind of like, oh, the train's rolling right in, So there was a nice steam behind it. Of course, Travis Ryan, when he comes in, the vocals are just crazy, different from the low that Devin does, sorry. From Sanguisugabog or whatever. But man, just a heavy death metal track comes right in. Some nice, interesting, cool, low, like weird Discordy stuff among like some of the chuggy stuff. So just not too much to take in, but it's like, hey, this is gonna be a heavy mixtape. You know? So
I thought the drums for that one really set it off. I thought it was a great choice. The way that song starts, similarly to the Fallujah one, almost like a little short intro.
Yep.
You're just building up, but the drummer just keeps you locked in the whole time with it. It is heavy. It is the things that you mentioned with the Discord. Obviously, you get the cool vocal diversity there, which is always appreciated. Same with mine. The guy actually does the clean singing and the fry vocal and the lows. So you want to have a little bit of diversity. Listening to the Sanguisugabog track that you picked, I didn't feel like they got too blasty, grindy, anything like that. So you could groove right away. It did have good energy with those drums, and it felt captivating to me just with all of that drum work. It made a nice little intro for your tape, and it really sets the precedent of it's going to be a heavy one.
Yeah, and that's kind of what why I didn't change the order after I listened to it, because I was just like, it kind of just speaks like everything spoke to me perfectly. So I was just like, this is a good way to roll out to know what you're getting into for sure. So
Yeah, I love it. I've signed off on that one 100%, and I'd say good choice because as soon as I hit play, I was like, this is a good song. This is a good song for number one. I'm with it.
Yeah.
Now for me, coming into the next track, you want to make sure your mix doesn't lose steam. You can't fall off the cliff right away on track 2.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of ways you can go, but for me, I went with Callous Cowboys on Full Moon Guidance.
Yep.
I felt like this track was maybe my favorite on the album, but if not, because it's a great album and many good songs, it was the most straightforward metal track on the album.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that riff immediately just like grabbed me. I was like, oh God, because it was grooving. It was so thick and heavy, and it had kind of like that little noisy, just just that little dissonant note in there. So it's heavy and catchy. The intro goes really hard, and it does keep up the steam for the whole mixtape altogether. Track 2, you can't really afford to be soft, so I went with the hardest track from this band to take this spot. It's pounding, grooving. Vocals are mean as fuck on this one.
Yeah, they are, dude.
This dude is like extra pissed on this track. I love the guitar effects and the harmonics, basically all throughout the song.
Like
but
the pitch effects and stuff.
Yeah, they get
so
that.
Cool, man.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that. They used it tasty. They didn't go Gojira wild with it, but it's just like you could tell that effect is on there.
Yep.
And then also, I got to give points to the lyricist for using the lyric "pussyfooting." It's a phrase I've heard and I'm familiar with, and it's old school. It means when you're just kind of delicately walking on eggshells would be another way of going about it. But I've never heard it as a lyric, and when I heard him say it, I was like, "This guy said what?" You hear the word and you're like, "What did he say?" And then I double back and listen to it. So you just get bonus points for that, and his lyrics are always intriguing. Like
very interesting.
Yeah.
With just the way sometimes they remind me of a rapper's lyrics, because they'll talk about like cans of Coke and different, you know what I mean? Different stuff like in the environment. Like it just, but it all makes sense too. It's like, a very cool lyricist.
Yeah. He's a little bit different but his approach to writing the lyrics is definitely like modern and in tune with what kids, probably younger culture, would identify with. So
such an interesting band. You could have picked a lot of tracks from that, but I mean, as far as keeping it heavy, that was a good track to pick for sure.
Yeah.
Just because you could have went a lot of ways with that album, you could get into some weird territory, and that sparks when we get to mine, obviously, because the album was on there as well, and I'll give you an explanation. But this track, fucking super awesome, especially for a second track, because the Fallujah is so melodic, and at times the Cowboys can get very melodic, but almost in a different, like, lighter melodic way. But when they're getting heavy, they're in that dissonant, like post-hardcore type,
almost noisy,
grindy type shit, but not always grind. But
and they had another track that I was juggling that was super heavy, but it was a little bit faster and grindier. But I thought this one had the groove that I wanted and the pace that I wanted. So, and then if I went with another song off the album, it would have been something to maybe give my mixtape some more atmosphere in the middle later, what have you.
Yep.
But, you could go a lot of ways with the Callous Cowboys. I Don't Want to See You in Heaven to put into your mixtape. But for me, Full Moon Guidance was a great way to keep up the energy at track 2. How about you, Jay? What did you come out of after Sanguisuga Bog?
I actually have to, give me 1 second here. So my next one was going to be a Legion. And I want to know exactly, because the way I spelled this, I don't think it's the way it's spelled, so I want to say it right.
Daizeri? I'm not sure.
Daizeri, I think.
Yeah,
it was weird, but I just was writing a note at, when I was writing this down. But if that's how you say it, we'll just say for now, for time's sake, Daizeri, a Legion. What an amazing record this was. So it was hard to pick a song off here, but since this one ended up being my favorite track, I loved how on the mixtape it comes out and it gives this melodicism. There's an intensity to the song, but it's still melodic, still shreds. Like we kind of get away from that like punishing death metal from the Sanguisuga Bog,
right?
And we keep it heavy, because I could have picked a few other ones off this album too, because these guys get kind of atmospheric, especially and they get very in the weeds sometimes with the playing and instrumentalization.
Yes,
not that that's bad or anything, but I didn't want to go that way either. So I thought when this track kind of kept it a good pace, kept it death metal, but there was some of that extra orchestration, some of that melodicism, some of that shreddy guitar work on this one, and the great, fantastic bass playing.
Yes.
Also, more of a song because of the repeating parts a little bit more in this one compared to like the opening track where it's more just punishing.
Yeah.
And there's repetitive riffs in that one, but it's not so like song structure where it really stands out.
Yeah.
So I thought coming into the Legion one was really cool because it kind of almost went to a different style of metal right off.
Yeah.
You know, with all of a sudden like, oh, there's two completely different ways to be heavy on this, you know,
absolutely,
like in this world, basically. So
it is funny because you saying that is basically the thought process that I had. I start with a little bit more melodic piece, whereas yours is not necessarily atonal, but it's not a progressive melodic piece with Sanguisugabog. It's just pretty brutal and heavy. And I started out melodic and then went brutally heavy, kind of with the Calloused Cowboys. I brutally heavy, but you know, like
pretty heavy,
hardcore,
as heavy as they get,
hardcore,
which is pretty heavy,
and also not terribly melodic on that particular track from them.
Absolutely.
You, on the other hand, start out brutal, roll into the melodic. I like the selection, and metal is always going to be both of those things. You can go atonal, heavy, crushing, chromatic all day long, palm mutes, you know, and then you can really open it up with some atmosphere and beauty and melodicism and still be heavy, and we're going to find that more as we go. I looked up the pronunciation on this track. It says Dies Irae.
Okay. Dies Irae.
Dies Irae.
Awesome track by Legion.
Or also Dies Irae. So it's Latin. Goes, you know, so we could just make it up as we go.
That's cool. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, what you got for 3?
This is where it gets a little interesting and confusing, or not confusing, but curious, because I went with Spite, Servant of Chaos. And it's curious to me because, you know, we're about to find out in a minute. But cool riffs. This thing is groovy. It is on the groovy side, but it's dark and heavy. And it's most of the Spite album is going to be a little bit more fast paced, a little bit more punishingly heavy. This thing is definitely one of the heaviest songs on my mix for sure, but it's one of the more atmospheric or grooving tracks off of that album. And I felt it really it had to be on this list for me. I was like, this song is too good. Probably my favorite song on, you know, that album. You know, right in there. It's up there. But is this another one? Was this the one also with Travis Ryan on it?
No, that one has Will Ramos.
Will Ramos. I knew it was a guest. Thank you. Cool riffs, groovy side, dark and heavy. Track 3, you can afford to slow down for a tick. You know, your track 3, you don't want to lose steam at track 2. I felt like you could, and that's what the intro of the song, like the first riff did. It kind of slows you down for a second, but then they build it right up into like that
more of a thrashy kind of beat.
Yeah, and great riffs too. I mean, really,
dude, this whole album's got great riffs, man.
Too many.
I had to cut you off just to fucking say that because when I'm just such a fan of good riffs, and there's so many good riffs on this. In Spite.
The mix can't lose steam, but the first riff gives it a little bit of a breath, and then you go into the, you know, coming off the previous track too. You needed a little bit of a breath just for a second, but they immediately pick it back up into the next section before dropping back down to that mid pace, and then all the way back into the intro riff. So you got some song structure there too. Great song, great songwriting, and just another one that goes super hard from this band. And Jay, I think you have some more to say about it too, don't you?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. I mean, I wouldn't say weird at this point since we've been doing this for almost 3 years now, and we always seem to cross the road at the same time somewhere, somehow, some way. And this just happens to be that point on the mixtape.
Another one of them days.
So the album is called New World Killer, so I brought that list up so we can say the names of the album. But yeah, this, like I said, my order was kind of random but also at the same time kind of deliberate, just in order. So it just happened to come in at the same spot as yours. But I felt like it was like, okay, so will you go from the pretty almost, you know, in your face brutal death metal to more of the melodic. And then now we're kind of bridging the gap on song 3, which kind of brings two of them almost together, a little closer together.
Certainly.
And then obviously now vocal wise we're going into a different territory as well, because Darius is one of the best vocalists in the game, and then you add Will, who is also one of the top dogs in the game, in there, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, this is cool. But it wasn't over the top, and that's what I loved about the vocal approach on this. Even Will's part, he kind of, like, you can tell when he comes in with his super gremlin-y type shit, and then they stop and they go into like that breakdown. And this is kind of the first time also when the album kind of the mixtape gives you a breakdown too.
Okay,
because
sure.
first two songs didn't really have no breakdowns.
Okay.
Grooves, yes.
Yes.
You know, death metal grooves, right? But now we're giving you a little bit of the breakdown flavor. But one of my favorite songs off the album as well, like you said, is a little more mid-pace and groovy, where some of the other stuff gets in a little more grind, a little faster territory at times. But overall, yeah, I just thought it was just like, hey, don't forget, it's still going to be heavy as shit, even though, not that the Legion wasn't, but. You know.
Right. Yeah. So again, same idea almost with ebb and flow on your behalf. Mine kind of stayed. Mine bridged the two first tracks, and I guess you could say yours did as well. Like the Spite track kind of bridges both of those worlds, but it does lean into that heavier, more heavy than melodic. But they did a great job with the riffs. The riffs could be considered melodic, especially at certain points. Rolling off of that one, I did decide to go with a Legion myself with Wake circling above.
Oh,
this one was kind of easy for me. I didn't spend a lot of time combing through the Legion album for the track I wanted from them. I just knew this is my favorite track off of that album. It stands out to me. I can always just recall it. Like, what a powerful song. You just recall it. Like,
the Ossuary Lens is what it's called.
Thank you. The Ossuary Lens is the album. The track Wake circling above. A lot of great tracks on this album, but this one is always going to be my first choice because when I get to it on the album, it's at the end of the album. I tend to like to just jump back and give it an additional spin.
Sure.
I just love it like that much. But it does keep the energy up, and it does move toward a more melodic direction, giving the ebb and the flow of feeling like a super heavy and melodic. Because of the feedback fading like outro means you can really pivot into anything you want for the next track too. So that was just a little bit of a bonus coming off of it. I was like, I can go any direction I want, but really melodic, very heavy. You got the dual threat vocals again because you got clean vocals on the chorus, the soaring,
really powerful vocals on
clean, and then you got a lot of great death metal vocals in there as well. So just an amazing musicians. It's a longer track. I didn't know it was that long. I was like, ooh, long tracks on a mixtape usually are but this one never feels long. That's why I didn't know it was a long song. I looked at it, I was like, holy smokes, it's over 7 minutes. But it never feels like a 7-minute song because they don't go into a really atmospheric or depressed state, or they don't go into this really low vibe situation. Everything stays up the whole time. The drums are constantly going, busy work, awesome intricate bass line when the guitars drop out. He's basically playing the rhythm. He's got great tone too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everything about this song screamed to me, just slapped me on in a good spot. And I didn't want to wait to get to it. Like they got it toward the back of their album. I was like, nah, I got to bring it forward a little bit. And it fits fine. And it keeps energy up in the middle of your mix.
Yeah, it's a great song, especially fitting into your mixtape right there.
Yeah. So,
coming off of Spite.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, just again wanting to keep it melodic but also heavy.
Yeah.
So what do you?
All right,
track 4 for you, guy.
Next for me is going to be Revocation with the song Data Corpse off this album New God, New Masters. So now it's almost like a 1-2 punch for me off rip.
Right.
1-2, 1-2, because you got the heaviness with Spite, who's more of the low, dissonant deathcore type stuff, and now we're going into this thrash tech stuff again, where it was like Sanguisuga Bog into the Legion, and now it's like kind of the same, another 1-2 punch. You got the super heavy on the one side, and then you got Revocation, which is heavy as shit, but they get really shreddy, dissonant, thrashy, technical. It's more on the like more nerdy metal side, right?
Yeah, a lot of notes, all the notes.
Yeah, and even some weird dissonant chords in this one as well, but just played in a completely different fashion with like so much crazy thrashy right hand stuff. But Revocation, you could really put these guys anywhere. You can't go wrong with this, but for some reason I just felt like going into this kind of, and the Data Corpse, the rhythm on this has just like this real weird kind of sporadic rhythm going throughout it. It pushes forward, but there's just a lot of weird like rhythms going on in the background on this one. So, it was just another 1-2 punch going into more of the technical metal with the Revocation.
Yeah, and David Davidson, he's going to put a solo on just about every track, correct? So you get that in your in your mix too as well, because not all of these bands do a whole lot of soloing, but it is nice to have some on there at some point, I'd say. Gotta love it. I listened to it again this morning and I was like, I need to revisit this entire album again, because I did end up getting around to it. I think it was one of those that I I had only listened to once at the time of the album of the year filming, but I absolutely loved it, and I was glad to revisit it off of your mixtape. So yeah, the Data Corpse goes in. David Davidson I can't believe that dude does all that he does on guitar and sings over it. So it just blows my mind. Like, he's just one of those guys that captivates.
There's also a time that I've seen Revocation, and they were a 3-piece, and I seen it like they didn't have the additional guitar player,
Right.
and it was earlier when I started getting into them, but it was a live video, and it like sounded perfect, and I was just like, this is just so good. So ever since that day, I had nothing but respect when you're ripping like that with a 3-piece. He's doing vocals, playing guitar, and all the soloing shit too.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude can play, but for me, the reason why Data Corpse is on there, of all of the songs off of that album, to me, it was just like every single part was like, this is a cool part.
Yeah.
This is a cool part. You're like, holy shit, the never-ending cool parts in a row. So that's kind of why I picked that one off of that album.
Yeah, and I have to agree with that sentiment too. That was a part of my decision making too. When you're trying to make a mixtape of all bangers, like, not only do they have to be all bangers, every riff has to slap. Like, every single riff has to, like, you can't lose interest if you're saying you put all this intention into your mix, that every single song fits with every other song, and all the riffs are captivating. At no point am I like, oh, it's time to doom scroll because they're doing weird stuff.
Right.
You know, like, I never dipped out. Even when we get into some of the atmospheric stuff, I felt like it didn't stay around too long to put me to sleep.
Yep.
So Data Corpse from Revocation's most recent album.
Yep. You got some masters.
Yes, thank you. Now, for me, this next one, I wrestled with where to put it and what song to put here, but coming off of a Legion, I went with The Rivers of Nile, Water and Time. This, obviously, one of my favorite bands and one of the best tracks off of this album. Now, I could have gone with a couple of other ones, but Water and Time was the one I selected just because there's too much going on here for me to ignore. These vocals are out of this world insane. I can't believe, like, Adam, so their drummer, their bassist, and their new lead guitarist, Andy, these guys all three sing clean vocals. And not only that, but at some point, so anybody can sing in the band, basically. Like, who's going to do vocals? Yes. Like, you know, like, anybody can sing, but Adam Biggs, their bassist, in one part of this, he's doing the clean vocals over some bass taps. Like, the audacity of this guy to sing and play bass taps. Well, there's two other guys in the band that can sing. Like, what, you don't just say, "Hey, man, can you sing this part?" I got a lot going on here. Nope, boss. These are my words. I'm singing this part. So, everybody knows this is one of my favorite bands. I've said it quite a bit on the show. It's just one of those. They can't do any wrong. I'm 3 albums deep into my listening experience with them. They've got more from prior, but when I pick up with Where Owls Know My Name, they can do no wrong for me going forward. And so that's how you get me wearing your shirt and putting you on mixtapes and picking you as the #1 album of the year. But this track represents everything that this band is to me. Like the progressive metal, you know, they got the atmosphere. They've got the dual threat guitars. They can both lead. They got the clean vocals from 3 guys. And then Adam's got the fry vocal in the middle. So the progressiveness, just the clean passages, this thing takes a little bit of a while to get going. So this is why I have it at the middle of the album or the middle of the mix, because there's a lot of clean and or atmospheric elements to this track.
Lot more singing than we've heard yet for your mixtape, at least.
Exactly. I've had like maybe a couple of spots where there's been some choruses, like Fallujah and Allegiant had some clean vocals, but this one's going to have a wash of clean vocals.
Yeah, like more than not.
Yeah. It's basically like Spock's Beard here, if anybody's ever heard of them. They're just crazy vocalists. But this one does get cooking a little bit as we get into the middle passage and towards the end. So it's nice coming off of the Allegiant because of the way that it ends. You can go anywhere with it. And then I decided this would be a good spot to drop the Rivers of Nile in. And my mixtape can't afford to take a little bit of a breather here, but those vocals are so captivating. I don't think people would feel like, oh, this song's a snooze.
No, it is not.
It is. It's one of the best ones on there.
This song, I'll talk more about it, but when I listen to this song again, I'm just like, yeah, these guys are just better than everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say that because I don't want to be like, but like in listening to this song, because it is on mine too, because I picked it, but
Right.
I picked this song as well.
Sure.
And I'll talk about placement when we get there. But after I listen to the whole thing and then I'm done, like the Rivers of Nile song stuck in my head. The fucking riffs are stuck in my head. You just listen to it and you're like, this is just better than anything I've heard in I can't even say how long. That's just how good it is. Like you can't deny it, dude. Like I understand maybe if that's not for you and you're more into the brutal death metal or that style of metal, okay, I get it.
Right.
But like as far as like what metal / death metal, progressive melodic metal is today, melodic death metal,
Yeah.
There's nobody above. Sorry, but
no, there's some peers, there's some contemporaries that stand shoulder to shoulder with Rivers of Nile,
sure.
but their self-titled album, man, what a gem. Obviously, it was my choice for number 1 last year, but I don't know that there's anybody better than them in my personal opinion.
Sure.
They just do things so well and so right for what I like that I was happy to put them right in the middle of my mix.
And that makes sense. It's a good breakup.
Yep. It's heavy enough to where coming out of it I can go either way, but track 5 or Water and Time on my 5th slot of my mixtape. Jay, what about you?
So I was actually thinking about putting that one there, but
Okay.
I liked my flow, and I'll talk more about it once we get there.
Sure.
Because I felt like that is a good, like middle song because
Sure.
you do have a lot of heavy in that one too, right? And you got the clean, so it's like kind of a nice break right in the middle. But there's a lot of dynamics too, so it's kind of like you just didn't pummel me the whole time. But then just the way my order fell out, I was like, nope, we're still pummeling you. So the fucking Dormant Ordeal, Orphans. So I know this wasn't one you really listened to because
I listened to this track this morning for sure.
So the album is called Tooth and Nail, but the way it comes in, it just hammers you, man. It's but then at the end, when they start doing that like pull off riff, and it gets really groovy, it's just like what a cool. They didn't throw a lot of groove in the beginning of it, and they do have a lot of groove, but I just love the way it's like, okay, we come off like the technical data course revocation, and then we just come into some pummeling death metal with the Dormant Ordeal, and then go into some groove, and I think it flows into my next one as well. But I can't speak highly enough of this song, this album. The reason why I picked this song is just because of the relentlessness of it. Because this album does trail off a little bit. There's some dynamics. There's some other things going on. There's some interesting riffs in there. So there's a little more instrumentalization on there. But this particular song was just like the steamroller track, and it was the one that captivated me and just spoke to me. So I was just like, yeah, Orphans has got to go there. And then by the end, you're just that fucking riff. They're like doing the like this pull off riff at the end, and the dude's just grooving on the drums. It's sick as hell, dude.
Yeah, when I heard this come up on your mix, I felt like I missed an opportunity to do similar and have a blasty song hit you like right off rip. Like the first note, you're just blasting or grinding for a stretch too, like some brutal death metal bordering on Blackened death metal right there up front. I was like, wow. And I was actually impressed too because I didn't think you're going to get much heavier than like a revocation track. And then you come off of that into the Orphans or the Dormant Ordeal Orphans. I was just like, oh my God, he went there. But it's perfect because it's right in the middle of the album where you don't want to lose steam, where it's like mine is, okay, my ebb is ebbing, if you will, and yours is flowing super fast, and mine is ebbing right at the rivers there. But I loved it. I thought, man, I tried to find a song like that as I was doing this. I was like, which one of these can like really kick the door down? And at each turn, I was like, but that's not the song I want. You know, like I just want something that's got a little bit more on it for the catch and the stick, and so
that makes sense.
For me, coming off of the Rivers of Nile here, I went with the Abigail Williams, Talk to Your Sleep. This one, when we did the Album of the Year review, is one that I did mention was pretty morose. It's almost like the shoegazy black metal vibe.
Yep.
I thought it fit nicely here. It's a longer song. All of them are on this album.
Yeah, they are.
But I thought it fit nicely here. It holds a lot of space and tension, so that it's not too like shoegazy, so that you're, wallowing doom. It's just got that kind of a mid-paced, you know, and then everything about it is tension almost the whole
Just
way.
Like,
yeah,
like
and
the static.
yeah. And they've got a couple of lead passages in it, and it is a longer song. I think there's 2 or 3 solos in here, but they just do a great job of holding a mood. And this is, I kind of wanted that mood to sit right here because I didn't know where else I was going to put Abigail Williams. So I was like, all right, we're in the middle, coming off of the rivers of Nile. Let's get grim with it. Let's get super dark and moody, and then let that ride and just let that whole tension sit for another 7 minutes. And then I'm gonna change what direction I go because coming off of that, you gotta do something different than the sad kind of black metal.
Yeah.
It's great. It's triumphant and melodic and heavy. There's a lot of twists and turns in it. It's vicious and sad. It's a bit slow, short, and it may be a song that people would say it drones on. However, the one thing about a song like that is you got to have drums to keep you invested in the song, and I think they do a great job of that on this particular track. This drummer, albeit like it's a kind of a slowish song, if you will, but he just stays so busy up top, rolling the toms, and he's got all kinds of touch. And when you have a drummer that is that good, like you can get away with some slower stuff because they fill in spots so well.
They keep it intense.
Yeah,
and definitely a good example on that.
He did a great job on this one with that one. So the Abigail Williams there with "Talk to Your Sleep" was my 6th track on my mixtape. Just holding the dark mood for about 7, almost 8 minutes. But I was for it. I tried to, you know, I moved these things around all over the place, and I was like, well, I guess we're gonna put it right in the middle because at the end. I don't think it's a good end song. I certainly wouldn't start with it. So you just got to find where does it ebb and flow with everything else. I thought it was a good. I listened to it. I was like, this works.
It's
coming off of that
it does work, especially coming off something so different from the rivers of Nile. It's like a completely different thing. So it's like you kind of get this. Oh, okay. Now we're going in this direction. The album's called "A Void Within Existence."
I appreciate that.
I thought that was a great pick, man. And of course, you know, when you have something like that, especially with your list being progressive death metal mostly.
Yep.
You know, well, where are you going to put a black metal, just angsty piece? You know, that it's just still going to, but it's going to hold its own place because it's going to be so unique compared to, you know, the rest of the list or whatever.
Yeah.
So next for me is going to be Black Braid, God of Black Blood. So this is where my tape starts to kind of take a turn a little bit.
Okay.
Because this particular song from Black Braid, the album Black Braid 3, this one is more of a mid-paced song where there's ones that are more intense, a little more grindy, a little more, you know, death metal on here. This one, he's fucking doing some rock beat shit in here. You know what I mean? But it is super melodic, and it has almost that vibe where your tape went too, where it was just like that black metal angst, but it's melodic. And then it also starts like after coming off that dormant ordeal, like punishing.
Yeah.
And then this is the song that he starts with like the vocal thing too. So it like kind of just like, what the fuck?
The throat clear.
Yeah.
The 3-time throat clear.
But then he comes into it and then it's like, you know, it's like very straightforward. So it's kind of like, it does take a break from the punishment of what I've already thrown at you. And it's a good melodic break, I think, for me in the middle. The song is awesome. What can I say? We talk endlessly about how great this band is on this show, so we don't have to get too deep into it. Plus, just go listen to the album episode because we both fawned over it. But I just like the way that this one fit there because now you'll see where my mixtape starting to do like that. I kind of peaked, and now I'm starting to dive. That's where direction we're going.
And that's fine because you're at like track 6. I've got a black metal song at track 6. You've got a black metal song at track 6. I was contemplating God of Black going on my list as well because Black Braid was also in my top 10 last year. So I was fooling around with placing God of Black in my list all throughout. But when I've got a song like, Talk to Your Sleep from Abigail Williams, I couldn't really see putting another black metal song on there that sounded like that, but it's a great choice on your end, and I love that. Even though we approached the order from different kind of point of view or whatever, that we've seen track 3, same song, and then track 6, same style of song. So I thought that's just the irony of like, I guess it's an overall kind of a window into like our friendship, just the ironies of like every time we do this, it's like this was not rehearsed. We didn't do this on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times you said that in 3 years, but it's funny to me just that even when like we could come at something from totally different places, we end up with the same results. It's hilarious to me. Coming off of my black metal track though, I went with the Halo Effect. It was the only place to go after such a sad, morose song.
I get it.
The Halo Effect with What We Become from their album March of the Unheard.
You definitely changed moods like 180.
Yeah,
like bipolar shit right here for sure. Like.
Almost. And I mean, you're not wrong, but I could have gone so much happier than I did.
Yeah,
because if you're familiar with the album, this is a very, very major key melodic album, and it was hard to pick one that wasn't too happy.
Yeah.
So What We Become, no clean vocals on this one. This is probably one of the heavier.
So that's probably good.
Well, yeah, probably one of the heavier tracks too from this one. A little bit more straightforward with some teeth on it. So the mix did need a huge pick me up though coming off of that last track. So I saved these guys specifically for coming out of that, and just great songwriting and a lot of melodicism, but we didn't have to go too happy with it. I didn't want people to be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
When this one comes in, it's feeling more like thrash metal or melodic thrash metal than it is just melodic.
Yeah.
Like the In Flames, Gesture Ray stuff. Like that's great. And it works so well on this album for their
Halo Effect album.
Yeah. Sure. March of the Unheard.
Yep.
But for me, I just needed a way to pick up the energy. I can't have my listener now like, okay, we just did like 7-minute black metal track, coming off of like a 7-minute Rivers of Nile progressive piece. So definitely get in and get out under 4 minutes with this Halo Effect song, and you've got a now rejuvenated sense of energy to your mix. You're a little bit more upbeat, and you're like, okay, I'm awake. All right, that's good. I need to be awake now. So I wanted to make sure I didn't stall out the back end of my mix. So with the Halo Effect here, I get to pick up the mood and the energy and the pace, and I get to go faster if I want, so that we're not, just kind of coasting downhill, which is totally fine. It's just a matter of how you're going to do it, because I'm on track 7. I felt like if I go slow for the rest of the way out, I'm going to lose you. So right here, time to pick up the pace. On your end, Jay, what's coming out of the after the black metal for you?
Despised Icon. From the album Shadow Work, the song, The Apparition.
Loved it.
So you kind of get that the black metal vibe, where kind of more of the upbeat. It's still heavy, it's still nasty, it's still in your face. But then all of a sudden we're going to like another like different style of music altogether. I didn't want to put this one back to back with Orphans because I thought about it, because the way the rest of my album goes, it in my mind made sense. And it kind of would have made more sense if I would have let one more punishing song and then kind of have it taper out. But I kind of wanted to make sure that we went heavy. It's kind of been the theme, like kind of 1, 2, 1, 2.
Sure.
That's kind of been the whole theme in the tape. So in this instance, it's that way too, because you get the one fucking Black Braid kind of mid pace, and then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, now we're getting back into the insanely heavy deathcore, death metal stuff that is Despised Icon. And one of the only other breakdowns on my tape is on this song as well.
Nice. I love this song. It was one of my favorites from that album. The apparition vocal that he just starts wailing. Like that's
sweet, dude.
That was one of the ones that grabbed me when I first listened to the album. I was like, oh my God, this guy's vocals are gnarly. I love it. I thought there's a lot of tracks off of that album that you probably could put here similarly, but that's probably one of the ones that stands out right away to me too. So I love it. That Despised Icon album is disgusting.
I've noticed with every one of the songs that I picked, I felt like that was a good representation of the band of that album completely, right?
Yes.
That's kind of where, like, after the list kind of wrote itself, but those are the reasons why I picked those songs, and maybe I didn't realize it when I noted them when we did the album of the year episode. So
no, it's all good. I feel like that's kind of what you want to do. You want to pick not only like closest to maybe what would be your favorite or best song on the album, but also just a great representation of that album. And you're making a mixtape, it's got to fit in with your mix.
And I'm thinking about this mixtape, like if you handed me this tape back in the day in the car, right? So it's like, what if I never heard any of these bands?
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking in my head when I'm writing this, right? So I'm like, if I showed this mix to somebody that's never heard these bands, well, obviously loves the kind of music we like, but just so happened didn't hear any of these bands.
Right.
Well, this is the song that represents this band, and
yeah,
for the most part on this.
Yeah, I think it was a good selection. The rest of that album is going to sound a lot like the Apparition, or close enough to the Apparition where you wouldn't be like, that's not an outlier. Yeah, no, it's a great track. I absolutely love it.
But there's a few tracks on here that almost get pretty white noise-ish in the grindy metal stuff, and this one doesn't really go there too much. So I thought it also wasn't like going to be too much of a punishment. But I mean, you're talking Despise Icon. It's going to be fucking heavy. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the lyric or the vocals on that track are so disgusting, and I'm not just talking about the Apparition vocal when he's doing the banshee scream, like right off rip, like it's like just so angry and throaty, like kind of a mid vocal, but yeah, angry as hell, and I absolutely love it.
All right, what you got next, brother?
Well, coming off of the happiness of the Halo effect, I did want to keep up the energy, but we're going to now shift the mood a little bit with Shadow of Intent, Beholding the Sickness of Civilization. Man, again, revisiting this album was super fun, and that album is Imperium Delirium. I remember noting so many different tracks that I liked after listening to it, and with full intent, full shadow of intent, and I just was like, oh my God, there's so many good songs here. So I had to listen to about 5 or 6 of the songs last night to figure out which one I wanted to pick and then where I wanted to place it. And then after making my decision, I threw that decision away, and then I went back to this song. So I had 2 songs definitely from this band, and I deleted all the ones that I didn't select. So we're left with Beholding the Sickness, but this one's got some of the heaviest and grooviest and most melodic passages on the entire album.
Sure.
We don't get into too much of that white noise or grind or blast on this one. Now, Bryce is an amazing drummer. Sometimes you feel like you almost got to have him rein it in a little bit, but he goes off with the touch on this one. He's everywhere, but he's not killing you on the snare. First few beats, let's see, what we got here. It fits nicely after the Halo effect. The mix becomes because it's not too heavy or blasting. The first few beats and riffs are easy to groove along with, and then the melody of the song fits nicely with the previous track because they're pretty melodic over there in the Halo effect. Got a lot of melody going on in this one. Gives a lot of energy to the back end of the mix, which is what I wanted. I didn't want people to be stalling out right here. And lastly, we got Ben Dur just eating our faces on this one as he would any other track, but particularly this one, I felt like he just stood. I think there was some backup vocals from the bassist on this one too. So there's the vocal diversity that's more than just Ben Dur doing his thing. There was a noticeably different vocal style. I was like, that's got to be the bassist because I've not heard Ben do this one yet. But and then we've got Chris with a little bit of a lead in this one. It's not his most outstanding solo on the album, but it does set up the outro very nicely, and the outro was really sick. And the last couple of bars, like this is a really heavy outro, genty and jilted a little bit, and there's a lot going on, but the last couple of bars or measures, like Chris layers in like the second guitar, like a melodic thing, like an arpeggio or something. And I thought, just even though that riff was so terribly heavy, just having that little bit of melody at the very tail end of it allowed me to take a turn, a pivot, if you will, just in the last 3 seconds or so. Where I was like, okay, the next song, I can
kind of set you up for something else.
Yeah, I don't have to be heavy here. I can go the route of a slower track. So for me, I wanted to keep energy toward the end. Shadow of Intent's always going to bring it with Bryce on the drums. I mean, oh my God, Chris on the guitar. The dude's
so
an alien.
Good,
He's one of my favorite guitarists.
He's an alien, especially when you just watch him play the current stuff too. Like that stuff is very technical too. It's like, what? Man, so good. That album, I just want to speak on that too. Like I didn't rate it super high on the albums of the year, but it is like it's a grower, not a shower. It's one you got to spin 2 or 3 times, and then once you start digesting it, you're like, this album's good, dude. And I just don't feel like with the amount of albums and things we took in last year, I gave it its due. Almost like maybe the Dormant Ordeal when you're like, when you hear it, you're like, damn, I should have probably listened to this one. This is one I probably should have put a little higher on the list. I just felt like sometimes he still kind of gets a little on the vocal weeds. So that's kind of probably the thing that knocked it down. But like the second or third spin, because I have spun this a few times since we've discussed it. Great album, dude.
Yeah,
super good. I mean, it is. It's really fucking heavy. It's melodic. It's performed so well too.
so many other elements to it besides it being a really great deathcore, death metal album.
Yeah.
That's one of the best bands that can juggle both of those genre labels perfectly fine. You can call them deathcore, whatever, but
I don't get mad if you call them deathcore.
Yeah, but to me it is. I've always been calling them death metal just because of Chris's ability to bring so much melody and atmosphere to the songs. Or it doesn't strike me as just your typical deathcore band. But yeah, Shadow of Intent had to hold the line here to keep up the energy at track 8. What have you got at 8 there, boss?
So at 8, as you see, my tape is starting to go a little different way, but we're gonna do Heaven Shake, Malevolence, from the album where Only the Truth is Spoken.
Yes.
I like the way this track fit for a few reasons, because I could have picked a lot heavier track on this album.
Okay.
But I think Despised Icon is kind of like, well, we've kind of peaked as far as heavy we need to get, honestly, on this mixtape, especially with the last few bands that I had to choose from anyway, right?
Right.
That left me with whatever. But I'm like, you know what? And you'll see, I feel like mine's starting to taper down a little bit.
Okay.
Like I came out, gave you a bunch of 1-2 punches.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm sending your ass off to the afterworld. So, Heaven Shake by Malevolence, I thought the lyrics were very relevant for this time because it's talking about like the destruction of mankind and even the heavens will shake. So I'm like, that's basically the time we're living in. But super badass, cool, heavy melodic riffs, always from these guys. Like always just badass riffs. But the singing big chorus, I was like, that's kind of what we're missing so far on the mixtape, was something to display that, I do like metal in all flavors, and Malevolence do a good job of keeping it super heavy, but also like giving you that singing chorus. And I thought this was a great spot for it, like with the chorus and just the songy.
The clean vocals are almost kind of like that yell.
Yeah,
sing.
They're not clean.
Yeah, but he's got like he can sing and yell at the same time.
But it's like a melody to it, though, too. You know what I mean? So it's like a melodic passage that sticks in your head.
Yeah. Almost like a Lynn Straight, where the vocals are so powerful, you can put a fry on it, but also sing. You're singing a harmony with it, too.
Yeah.
Crazy when guys can do that. I'm always like, how is he simultaneously yelling and singing? But yeah, good track. The whole album is great, but I like that you did decide to go with one that was a little bit more of a, I don't want to say ballad. It's not a ballad,
no.
But atmospheric and more
big chorus.
Big chorus, yeah.
Big chorus.
Yeah.
Not a lot of big choruses so far on this album.
That's all right.
Or on this mixtape. So now we got a big chorus going.
Yeah, and I like how that's kind of like a testament to like, that's probably the amount of choruses you would maybe prefer to listen to. Me, I'm like a chorus guy most days.
Yeah, sure.
But you like on anything, a chorus is great for me that I can sing to. But if you got some Data Corp, some Orphans, and God of Black Blood, there's not a lot of singing choruses going on there, and that's fine though, because those songs got a lot of other great things going on. But I like that you went with one here. I did a little bit similar, I would think, going into my track 9 here. I went with Kardashev, and the track is Reunion. Hot on the heels of the heavy outro there, we did have a chance to express a little bit of the mellowness there coming off of that Shadow of Intent outro. This one rolls out nice and slow and melodic before it finally does pick up the energy and blasts away. Now, you got yourself about a minute and a half or so of like an intro here, like of clean and atmosphere, so
like building.
Yep. And then we do, but once we get to the verses in this thing, you got about a good 2 to 3 minutes of just pummeling heavy death metal coming at you, and then they switch it out to a little bit of the clean vocal style, and the progressive elements take over on the back end of the track. So what I wanted to do here was taper down the album or the mix a little bit. Like, we're winding down, but those verses give you a lot of good heaviness, brutal vocals, and then we get to the I've finally found you clean vocals that kind of carry you for the last 2 to 3 minutes. They utilize that lyric, and the music is more atmospheric or melodic, I would say, than brutally heavy, which is the direction I wanted to go going into the end, because most times anything you put on the end is usually something that the listener can just consume in a chill manner almost. It doesn't have to be a ballad or a slow dragging piece, but generally, or your last track's going to be longer, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not going to put a long one in. I mean, some bands do all long songs,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I wanted to wind it down with Kardashev's Reunion, and this was a good one for me. It's a great album. They've got a lot of progressive elements to that album. I wanted to pick one that wasn't too progressive.
Yeah.
It was like kind of like two halves or three parts, if you will. Intro, nice and melodic. Verses for the first 3 minutes, brutal as hell.
More brutal.
And then when you get to the second half of the song, you're in the atmospheric kind of more melodic territory, which is going to carry us to the end here. So
that band does that very well.
Yeah, there's a lot of that on that album. So check it out. Alunia was the name of the album. And actually, while you're listening to the end of the Reunion track, if you're watching their lyrical visualizer video that they have, there's like this huge, like, almost like an essay-looking body of text that you're allowed to read while the song is playing for like just 2 minutes of music, and it's all about what Alunia is about, what the band is about, the music and the messaging, and what it means going forward.
That's pretty sick.
So yeah, you could sit there and vibe
that.
to it and read this whole thing about like language in the future. Yeah, they had a really deep kind of philosophical body of text to read while you were listening to it. So if you're of the mind to check that out as well, Kardashev's Reunion has some interesting stuff to read while you're listening. But Jay, take us out with your number 9 here. Great track, I can see.
Water and Time, Rivers of Nile, self-titled. We kind of talked about some reasons. For me, this would be almost like the grand finale for me.
Sure.
Like, this has everything I love about all metal in it. Like I said, when you hear this track, you're just like, this is so, like, in my heart, I feel like this is just on a different level that it speaks to me. Maybe it's not, maybe I worded it wrong earlier by saying it's better. Better to me. Like, it's not necessarily better. I love all these bands. I love every band. I don't really put one band above each other. But some stuff speaks to me more than others.
Yeah.
And when I get done listening to this song, like I said, not only is it stuck in my head, I have a feeling, a different type of a feeling. I have emotional reaction to what's happening with the melodic chorus that's happening here. And the message of basically just disintegrating into nothing. Because if you're listening to the lyrics too, that means a lot too, right?
Right.
So we're just basically fading. Water and time. We're gone.
We're eroding.
This is literally kind of the end of it. So the same with the mixtape. It's like, and then it kind of washes away at the end a little bit with the.
I like that.
So for me, it's the grand finale, but it's not my last song.
Right, but it does.
But it
help wind down.
Exactly. It kind of takes it like, okay, this is where we're headed.
Yeah, you get a lot of the melodic and atmosphere up front in this one.
Yep.
Whereas on mine, it was toward the back end. But with Water and Time, it gets a little heavier, but it doesn't get crazy out of control. But it definitely impacts you emotionally because it sets you up so much in the first half with all of the clean vocals and the melodic passages that when you get to that heaviness, it's kind of sitting on you in a way. Like, it's not just headbang into a great track. It's like, this is going like into my soul right now. Like this is really like consuming me. It's in my blood right now.
It's like the peak of your acid trip is coming down. Like, you're starting to realize, like, you're getting the revelations of everything you just went through. Like,
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's they are such great musicians. So when you look at all the different players in the band, from the 2 guitarists, they're masters, they're maestros.
Yeah.
Adam on the vocals and the bass, he can do it all. And their drummer also is one of the best in the game. And he sings too.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you, sir? You're too good.
And the drummer playing some amazing drum work and singing those high vocals too. Like, I witnessed it a few years back at this show, and I was just like, I mean, we seen him with Black Dahlia, but that wasn't even what they're doing now.
Right.
That's not even close to what represents what they're doing. And then you see him just like, whoa, dude.
There's been some member changes in a new album since we both got to see them. And I always keep an eye out on the dates. I'm in a situation where I just can't pick up and go to a concert in Detroit just willy-nilly. So
it's hard to do.
I have to miss some dates, but they're a band I can't wait to get back out and see.
All right, what do you got sending us home here, brother?
Yep. Wanted to close it out with one of my favorite albums of the year, and Black Braid with And He Became the Burning Stars. Not a lot of room for an 8 to 10 minute track on a mixtape, so I had to stick it at the end.
Sure.
Even though I've got some long ones in here. Quite frankly, Black Braid was very likely going to bookend this mix one way or the other. You're either going to pick one of their songs with the acoustic passage intro to start your mixtape if you want. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? Oh, we're just warming up the acoustic before we get to the black metal.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, because I did think maybe they're number one. Maybe I'll put them at the beginning.
At the beginning.
Yeah, that'd be fine too. But I wanted to close it out with them because all of their songs are pretty long, and you can let a 10-minute, 15-minute song close out your album or your mixtape. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
It just has to be something that you're along for the ride as long as you want to be along for the ride. Now, for me, I couldn't see skipping or cutting any of this song out as a 9-minute track or what have you. I think it was 9.5. But this is one of the best songs on that.
It definitely is.
I listened to 3 that I was juggling. I think it was their first single that they put out off of this track, and then God of Black Blood were the ones that I was like, it's going to be one of these 3. And when I knew it wasn't going to be God of Black Blood, then I went to this one, and I was like, well, yep, we got a nice little, clean electric guitar intro, acoustic guitar maybe even, and then just 9 minutes of this dude doing what he does very well. You got everything that Black Parade does on this track. I think there was one of the the death rattle flute solos in there. I think as well. It's prominent on the album, but Black Parade, just a band that, again, similar to Rivers of Nile for me. As long as I've been listening to them, I haven't even heard a bad track from this band. Like, they can do no wrong. They got the 4-song EP. Got to listen to that yet. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
sure.
get to that.
Down the line.
Yep.
But people can look
I'm
forward.
excited for that.
Yeah,
too.
You're
going to turn around and give me 4 more songs after you just gave me some top 10 album of the year, bro.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I'm here for it. I was so surprised that they had any more material out. I was like, what? 4 more? Why, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So Black Parade to close out my mixtape.
Love it.
Yeah, just a lot of melodic. And you can go crazy heavy here, but then you'd be sitting here like, where do we go? Like, why my mixtape's got me feeling frazzled. Like, I just went out on some intensity.
Yep.
This is a great closing to. It's not the closing to hit their album, I don't believe, but it is the closing to my mixtape. I absolutely love it. Jay, how did you close yours out?
So I closed mine out with Callous Cowboys from the album I Don't Want to See You in Heaven. Now, there was a lot of songs I could have picked here.
Oh yeah.
But also a hard band to pin down, but they give you a lot of moods. But I felt like after The Waters and Time, and I know this kind of ended in a, like, the way this came together, it was kind of just a fluke because I just put it together this way, but I liked it after I heard it, because after you're coming down from the trip, the ride, the life, you're fading out into nothing. This is where I felt like Body Horror for Birds comes in, because it's kind of like this more light passage. The only song I couldn't say I like, hey, have you heard the Callous Cowboys? Gave you this song and you listen to it and you'd be like, I don't know.
Right.
It doesn't really represent. It's hard to say it does or it doesn't represent their band well, because they go so far over the spectrum.
Too eclectic.
Yeah, so they're way too eclectic just to put one song on. But there are songs that represent better. So of all the songs that I would be like, listen to this one song from this band, I could have picked a different one, but this one I just felt like after everything's done, we're just kind of fading you out into more of a chill song. We're closing the album out. I just pummeled the shit out of you with all kinds of heavy stuff.
Right.
And I just really like this song, and like the catchiness of it, the riff, the vocal pattern, the falsetto vocals. I just thought it was a good like outro to the track. It was kind of like that extra little cherry on top after that whole adventure. So that's kind of why I stuck with that one, because I kind of could have went with a heavy one, but I wanted, after the Heavens Shake with Malevolence singing, Rivers of Nile singing, I'm like, let's take it one more notch further that way.
Yeah.
Because we came at you with a fucking bulldozer.
Oh, yeah.
So then we're going out more on a like.
No, yours has got.
Closing it.
Yeah, yours has got great groove coming out with the first 3 songs, and then you've got just pummeling in the middle for like 4 songs straight, and then you've got like 3 songs that taper you down.
Yeah, it kind of goes.
You got a nice little bell curve,
Yeah,
or you almost kind of start at the top.
Yeah.
And then you just.
Or it shoots straight up.
Yeah. That Hulk ride from the.
Yeah, it's the fucking 90-degree up, and then.
That Hulk roller coaster. Oh my God. Have you been on it?
No, I've never been on it.
Oh, so it's Universal Studios.
Oh, really?
And roller coaster, it's ticking up, and everybody's always like, it just takes forever to go up.
Yeah.
No, it shoots you up. You start
Oh, you
ticking,
go,
like halfway, it's ticking up, tick,
Yeah.
tick, 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 and then like you're halfway up, and then it just like, it shoots you up.
Damn.
I've never experienced that on a roller coaster before, so I've got a picture of me on it with some random people from the world that my wife wasn't going to ride. Yeah, my wife wasn't going to ride the ride, but so anyway, I like the way that yours and mine both kind of ended with some more melodic, atmospheric passages. It is going to be impossible to pin down the Dallas or the Callous Cowboys. You can always pin down the Dallas Cowboys. They're weak as shit. The Callous Cowboys, hard to pin down, but a great way to close out a mixtape for sure. And I was going to say, you weren't necessarily handcuffed. Even though you went with the order of your top 10, you still had the whole breadth of the album to select from. So at no point were you like, oh, I'm handcuffed to this band at this spot. Well, there's diversity enough across any album to say I want the faster one or the slower one here. So for you to take, and put maybe the more atmospheric melodic piece at the end makes perfect sense after Water and Time has eroded you to just kind of bask in melody and atmosphere and chill. And they do a great job of that on the album. I had half a mind to select one of their more pop or atmospheric or just to break up mine. You know, I was like, do I go there with them? Because that's the best band to take a really interesting melodic, almost non-metal track, if you will, and slip it into your mixtape just to break it up. But just after listening to all of these albums or skimming through them, at least to find these tracks, I went with a heavier one. I got to appreciate that you went with an atmospheric melodic one, and that does give our listeners, an idea of what this band can do, which is many things. And we put them on our top 10 for a reason. It's a great album. You're going to get an entertaining, 45 minutes to an hour out of these guys listening to it. So I would definitely say pick up Callous Cowboys. I Don't Want to See You in Heaven. Tell us we're wrong. I'd love to hear you tell me I'm wrong about this album being great. It's a great album. It's not for brutal death metal fans though. But it's for fans of metal.
It gets heavy as shit.
It's super heavy and angry. But it also has a lot of melody and atmosphere. But it was fun making a mixtape, Jason. But it was also a little bit stressful because I'm like, oh my God, I got a deadline and I just want to make a mixtape that I'm going to listen to. But I wanted to highlight these albums one more time. Because, I didn't want to just listen to them and then bury them in 2025. I think it's fair to carry them over to 2026 and say, hey, these albums just came out. We're only 2 months into the year. We don't really have a lot of new music to talk about. We're doing our best right now. You've been reviewing some. I've listened to several. We're going to talk more about the new albums coming out.
And that'll be on a Patreon-only episode. So if you guys want to catch up with the conversation, we're going to keep it going month to month of new albums instead of just dropping the one at the end of the year. But if you guys want to join the conversation, send yours to us. Join us over on Patreon for that.
I love it because we're going to be funneling a lot of those conversation points into the album of the year. We're going to see if some of these make our top 10. Now, some of them I've listened to, I'm like, going to be hard to knock this one out. It's holding like 1 or 2 right now. So we got 9 more months.
It always happens. So we'll see. And there's a lot of good stuff coming out. Too,
and I've seen things go from 1 to knocked off the list. It just happens. But how about you, brother? I mean, did you enjoy making a mix?
No, dude, it was fun. It was cool to listen to it like that because we're album guys anyway. But we've already consumed the album, so then we can make the single tape. But some guys some people want singles, right? So. Also, making this tape, I hope that people click this link and check out our tapes, too, and tell us what they think about it in the comments. But I thought it was fun, and I think the other ideas we're talking about, which you guys will see soon, we'll be building them from every year from whenever we decide to go from. And probably that'll be fun, because then we can revisit some albums, and then we can keep a theme going on the show, too, and we don't have to go crazy out of the way with all these wild topics because we just want to listen to metal, right?
We don't have to invent crazy subjects and topics to talk about. We could start at when did we start listening to metal? Well, for me, that goes way back to the 80s, but it just depends on where you want to define like how heavy, because you can go all the way back to like Skid Row, Warrant, Bon Jovi. Nobody wants to talk about that. And then you can get into my Anthrax, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer years, and that's fine. And then you can round the corner into, and now we got Pantera, Deicide, Carcass, Death. That's kind of where do we start? But we could go with 1990 forward, and then we can go 1990 back. We can start at 81, and go for these are the best albums of art, but there's going to be plenty of conversation about albums historically and the new stuff coming out this year. So we're going to roll all that into a grand old album of the year 2026 at the end of the year.
And as always, make sure you like, share, subscribe. We appreciate it. Any love that you give us, help us grow the show. Join us over on Patreon. Get episodes early, get bonus episodes, and join the conversation. Support our sponsors, Stark Real Estate, Dave Stark over there at Stark Real Estate. And with that being said, much love. Keep it metal. Peace.
Thank you so much for checking out the episode. Be sure to hit that like button and give us a share.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed our podcast today, please give it a rating on your streaming service to help us gain some exposure.
And if you really enjoyed the show, please give us a follow or hit that subscribe button and come hang out with us every week. And remember, keep it metal.